There he is.
Okay.
How are you?
Hello.
Good to
Good
see
morning.
you.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay,
The
so I'm
floor is
gonna
yours.
I'm gonna share my screen. You cannot start sharing screen while the other participant is sharing.
Go for it, Todd.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, you all are amazing. Thank you all so much for your patience. But this is why I love Rotary, and this is why I love this virtual environment, because we're able to pivot. And that is very important as a president-elect. So we're going to talk about moving from diversity and inclusion, because inclusion can help you in the midst of times like this, being able to pivot and continue to do the mission of the organization and move forward. And so what I want to talk about very quickly, because we don't have a lot of time, you probably heard a lot in my introduction, but based a little bit about me, I'm originally from South Carolina. I've been in school like my whole entire life. I'm still doing research at Harvard today, but outside of that, I love to go to beaches and I love to travel. And if you can't see me right now, but I also love intentional beverages and food. And I love this Zoom feature because I can just sit down. You have to see my belly. I'm living in Arkansas right now, Bentonville, Arkansas, home of Walmart. I'm here with my lovely wife and our two fur babies. And if you probably heard, yes, as of 30 days ago, we have a new bow tie addition to the family, Mateo, and he is keeping me on my toes. And I'm really, really learning how to be very inclusive of emotions that I've never experienced before. So what we're talking about today very quickly is bow ties, Rotary. I'm gonna tell you a little story, but most importantly, I wanna tell you some action, what you can do as a president-elect and President Noms, or just being a human being today in Rotary. So you may be asking, if this is your first time ever meeting me, you may be wondering what's up with this kid with the bow tie? Well, the bow tie for me is an acronym of how I have everyday conversations. And I had this epiphany: what if we be more curious about humans and genuine and authentic to really get to know each other? And here's the acronym that I'm gonna share it with you. And if you like it, you can use it during your year as president. So the first letter of bow tie is the letter B. In anything you do as a president, I need you to be mentally present. I know that you're physically there. I've learned a lot of Rotarians is a lot of times physically in a room, but they're not mentally there. And so as a president, as a leader, as a human, be mentally present in your experience. The next thing of the bow tie is the letter O, which stands for openness, open to new ideas. Oh man, in this time and this day and age, you're going to have a lot of ideas that come from your members if you have the right environment. I'm asking that you be open. You don't have to agree with everything, but do you have openness, an open mind and an open heart? The next letter of bow tie is the letter W, which stands for willingness, willing to share your own story and own your own truth. I believe everyone on this call, you have a unique story. And it's up to you to share it. And it's up for you to model the behavior you wish to see. But you have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to do that, my friends. I don't know if we have any bow tie wearers on the call today, but one of the most challenging parts of the bow tie is usually this knot in the middle. And that's the TIE. And that's usually the challenging part of being a leader. And I also say it's a challenging part of being a part of anything, which is, how do you tie it together? How do you work with the different humans? How do you work with different personalities? How do you work with different, disagreements, et cetera? And you know how we tie it together in Rotary? The mission, the model, service above self, our purpose of why we all came together. So this is the bow tie philosophy. So if that makes sense to you, in the chat box, can you write the word bow tie? Let me make sure we have some bow ties out here today. Uh-oh, I see the bow ties coming in. I love it, I love it, I love it. Let's keep going. So I told you all earlier that I wanted to tell a quick little story, but I'm talking about diversity and inclusion today. So I always like to start all my conversations off with common language that sometimes I feel that's not common. So I'm going to tell you what these words mean to me. So as I say them throughout the rest of the next 10 to 15 minutes, we can all be on the same page. So what is diversity? Diversity is twofold. Diversity is visible and invisible differences that make someone complete. Okay, so visually, you see me right now on the screen. You see a good looking brown guy over here with a bow tie on. That is my visible difference. But invisible, you may not know that I'm one of 13 kids. I can hablar Espanol and follow Portuguese. I'm afraid of heights, but I love to jump on planes. So I want people to know, when you show up to this word diversity, it's not just what you see on the outside. That is important, but it's also the things you don't see, your mindsets, your behavior, your lifestyles, your sexual orientation, your faith. All of those things is the epitome of diversity. So let's go to this next word, inclusion, because that's what we're all striving for. Inclusion to me is very simple. Inclusion is creating an environment in which we respect all these visible and invisible differences, right? That's the environment. And it's an action, okay? And it's not just the respect, but it's ensuring that individuals that's in this space are seen and heard. Now, you may be asking, Dr. Jesus, why did you put heard in your definition? Well, thank you for asking. The reason why I did that is because how many of you all know you could be doing a lot of talking, but that does not mean anyone is listening? So we are saying if you want to strive for an inclusive climate, my friends, you need to have your club setting where people can be seen and heard. Now, you can't talk about true inclusion without talking about equity. And I know we really talk a lot about equality, but it's a difference. It's a difference between equity and equality. And I use my shoe to explain. This is actually my shoe. I wear a size 10 and a half. I love the shoe. I actually have on socks right now, so but I usually wear this shoe. And so when it comes to equality, the difference, equality is AG, Teresa, you get a shoe, Doris get a shoe, Debbie get a shoe, Patrick get a shoe. It's like Oprah, everybody gets shoes, okay? But equity is giving everyone on this call a shoe that fits them. Now you got to think about that. I have to think about that. I actually have to stop what I'm doing to spend a little more time, effort, and energy to get to know you, to see, hey, what size shoe do you wear? Do you even want to wear a shoe? What color? And my friends, today we actually have people showing up in our spaces with shoes that are given to them that does not fit, but they're forced to wear them. And some of them wearing them so long that they forgot how uncomfortable it feels. Something as presidents you want to think about, but that's another session because we got to keep going. Here's another great way to look between equity and equality. You've probably seen this all over. I work with a lot of corporate leaders in corporate America. Do you know I still have people say, well, Dr. Jenkins, what you're telling me is that this initiative is all about propping up short people. No, my friends. So we have to go and redesign this. What we're looking at, and when we're talking about equity and striving for that, we're not looking at the question of height, but we're looking at the question of the structural barriers to opportunity. That's what we're thinking about here today. And as president-elect, as President Nam, as humans, we all have a stake in this to think about what are the structural barriers to opportunity for our memberships, for our service, to do the calling of which we wake up every day to do. We want to think about that. And so we really I want you to think about, as a human in your club, what is the reality of your club? What is the reality of your community? Matter of fact, what is your reality when you look in the mirror? Because we all have an opportunity in this space. As I said earlier, why are we talking about this today? Because we have a strong case for inclusion and Rotary. Some people think it's a moral case. Yeah, that is true. It's the right thing to do. Some people think it's a social case, and everyone's saying, hey, we're doing it because the world is changing. And I would tell you that I met a lot of people who don't agree with the social or moral case. But one case, especially in corporate America, that really sticks is the business case. And the business case, I think we also have a case here for Rotary. And it says that if we get this right, it will make us all bigger, stronger together. It will allow for us to share value to everything that we touch, everyone that experienced Rotary, whether you're a member or you're part of someone who's a grantee, Interact, Rotaract. It's a case where everyone is included. And guess what? Everyone wins, including straight white old men. Everybody win in inclusion. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because so many times when we have these initiatives, so many times they become silo groups. It become, okay, you're the women focused committee. You're the Black and brown focused committee. You're the Hispanic. No, inclusion is trying to bring everyone together and to have some targeted and intentional discussions. Don't get me wrong, but it's not an out group. Okay, it's an inclusive group. And this is the thing I want you all to know. If you're not intentionally being inclusive, you're unintentionally being exclusive. And you want to think about that. Because of time, my friends, I'm going to skip through this story really, really quickly. But this is a little boy I got to know. He was raised in the inner city, low income, a lot of things that happen in the inner city in the South, a lot of poverty, a lot of violence. This is actually one of the neighborhoods in the South that they leverage, and they do the research of third graders' test scores in this project to see how many prison beds to build in the community. And this community, this little boy really talked about, as I got to know him, he talked about the volunteers that he got to meet. He talked about church. He talked about going to this camp every summer. And he also talked about school. He talked about his teachers. He talked about the people he met at his school, and he beat the odds. He was able to go to another school, and what they considered the white district, he had to test into it. He wasn't zoned for it, but he was able to go because his grandmother was a janitor at the school. And so he was able to get education in another district, and he beat the odds and he went on to college. And also Rotary was his first opportunity to go to Brazil, where he also studied in Brazil and Sao Paulo. And that little boy is here today. And I'm telling you this story really quickly, elevator speech, is because I'm a proud Rotarian and Rotary, and I have continued daily to experience Rotary. Do you know I met a lot of members of Rotary who's never experienced Rotary? And we have an opportunity in this inclusive landscape to have our members experience Rotary and everything that we touch and engage in our community to experience Rotary. And I'm here today to say there's hope in 2021. There's hope because of what you chose to do today. You chose to show up in the midst of a pandemic that we're still trying to figure out. You chose this. And so you give me hope. And there's hope because of Rotary. And I want to tell you that there's hope to be stronger and better together and create a more inclusive Rotary. And this is how we can do it. We have initiatives for Rotary Internationals around women. We're trying to continue to increase women in Rotary leadership and also Rotary presidents, all the way to Rotary memberships. This is where we add across the world. We're 24% women. And as you can see, we still have a lot of areas of opportunities around the world. And of course, you have to take into account of local laws and cultures, et cetera. But here's what I want you all to know. If you look at women in leadership today, we're actually have increased. You know, we're increasing. You wouldn't know this if you didn't look at the stats, but based over the last 5 years, we have increased. So we're definitely continuing to go up. As you all know, these beautiful individuals, these beautiful humans who's on our leadership. And guess what? They are great leaders who just so happen to be women. They're not women leaders, okay? Let me tell you that right now. Please think about that in your Senate structure. They are just so happen to be great leaders, and they so happen to identify as a woman. That makes a difference, because sometimes it's a perception that, hey, you only got your role because you're a female. That's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're talking about, and I know that. So as we move forward, I want you to think about this year. We are here to serve, to change lives. I love it. And I also still think we need to leverage Holger theme as well. We're still open to opportunities while we serve lives. I wish we could just like, hey, put it all together. But we are here to serve, to change lives. And how are you going to go about that change? That's what you may be thinking about, because we're talking about a lot. Well, number one, when you talk about inclusion, guess what? It starts with the letter I. Before you start pointing fingers at everyone in your club, before you start pointing fingers at your DG and the zone, I need you to look in the mirror and ask the question, how do I show up in this space today? What is my story? What is my story of inclusion? When was the time that I felt excluded? What can I work to learn? Start with an I statement in this journey. The next thing I would tell you as presidents-elects and noms and humans is that I've learned as a psychologist and a sociologist is that mindsets are the hardest to change. They can be changed, but mindsets are the hardest to change. So I'm going to actually say something different to you all. I don't really care about the mindsets, but what I care about is your behaviors, because I cannot see your mindsets. Actually, I can't even see your intentions, but what I can see is how you behave. So as a leader, you really want to think about, what is my inclusive behaviors when I show up to my club, when I encourage my club, when I show up to the community? Because that's what we are working on, is our behaviors. And the whole thing of inclusion is not trying to make people fit our organization. But we're talking about is we're trying to transform our organization to fit all people. That's what we're talking about today. So as you move forward in your journey and your maturity journey, because everyone started at a different place on this destination, continue to have an open mind and an open heart, but most importantly, have an action plan. You want action. We are people of action. And that can look different depending on your community and who you serve today. So I'm going to encourage you to think of your 1 to 3 points for action that you want to accomplish this year as president in the inclusive space. And think about these things. Guess what? You don't have to do it by yourself. Please don't do it by yourself. Involve your members, have a discussion. You don't always have to have every weekly meeting with a new speaker. You know what? Matter of fact, you should probably speak together in your club and have a session about some of these topics because the answers are in your room and you have to create the space for those answers to come out. And so do this with your membership. Build an inclusive journey with your membership. The next thing I would tell you is involve your community. You can actually have like a community board if you want to. That could be a community board of advisors that's diverse, right? Because so many members tell me, hey, Todd, we can't recruit anybody. They're not here, da, 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 da. Well, guess what? They are there. They just probably don't want to join where you're at. So you might want to think about that a little bit more and lean in to that discomfort. And I think you can get there by having a community board of advisors. The next thing I would say is observe and celebrate different cultural holidays in your club. That's fun. You know, it's a lot of best practices of best cultural holidays. I would tell you it's probably something that happens every day around culture globally. So think about that, do some research and put that in your weekly bulletin. This is how you enact change. And as a president-elect or a leader of your club, I tell you, you want to have a balance between challenge and support, okay? You want to challenge the culture and the way of thinking, but you also want to support them with the challenge. And that's how you can do that. And don't always leave this work to the task force of your club. Please don't do that. This is the everybody's thing. This is not just a DEI committee thing. This is everybody's work in this. And as a leader, you need to be at the table to model that behavior that you wish to see. Last but not least is that when you take this to the communication is key in these initiatives. The way you communicate, when you communicate, your delivery, think about that. We don't have a lot of time to unpack that, but think about how are you going to take this information and communicate the messaging to your club and also externally on your social media. What is your branding? Also, what is your attitude when you communicate? Sometimes I've sat in some meetings and the leader get up and like, oh, we're going to talk about diversity today. Diversity and inclusion is fun, my friends. Who don't want to be included? Come on, where's the personality? Where is the positivity and fun? Because if you understand inclusivity, you understand that it's making us all better. And who does not want to be a part of that? So as a leader, don't forget that your behavior matters in this space. And so I leave you with this thought as we close. I know I said a lot very fast. Small changes in this space can make a big difference. You don't have to go and take your whole club to Indonesia to experience diversity. You can bring Indonesia to your club through Rotary Youth Exchange, through global partnerships, right? Small changes can make a big difference. So as a president-elect, as a human being, and we come back together next year, I want you to think about, and I ask you this question. Show me your inclusive resume for your year. What will be on it? What do you want on it? Start thinking about that now, my friends. It's not for my judgment. It's just for your imagination, for you to envision your commitment. Thank you so much. Here's my contact that you can contact me anytime. I drop my info in the chat. But I know that was very fast, but we may have 2 minutes for a question. And let's talk, my friends. I love this.
This is so important, and I just love it. Every time I get to spend time with you, you wake me up, and I'm alive now. Your energy is so infectious. Thank you for this important message. And you're getting so much love in the chat section. Please take some time to look at it. Everyone on this call has heard the message and the impact that you're making around the Rotary world and beyond. I thank you. I thank you. And it's good to see you, and congratulations on the baby.
Oh, thank you.
I haven't seen you since you had your baby. And we're all sending you tons of congratulations. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. You know, we just made it towards month 1. So any advice? I know I have a year, a lifetime to go, but man, I'm open to it. But yeah, no, thank you so much. He's definitely humbling us in a lot of ways.
That is so cool.
And I'm gonna put my people are messaging me for my info. I'm just gonna drop it right here in the chat. this is my link for my Instagram, Facebook, or email, LinkedIn, as well as resources if you would like to engage with Rotary D&I resources. So back to you,
That's
Patrick.
amazing. Dr. Todd, I'm proud to call you my friend. It's good to see you. I
You
look
too,
forward to
bro.
seeing you soon. And in your honor, we're going to make a donation to the Rotary Foundation in your name. Thank you for being here. And I guarantee the club presidents on this call, they're taking this stuff back and they're going to make major impacts in their clubs, their communities, and
Awesome.
lives all over. So
I
thank you so
love
much.
it. Thank
All
you, my
right. I'll
friend.
see you soon. All right. Have a
All
good
right, take
Saturday.
care.